This episode of The Inspiration Show is so incredibly special because today's inspiration is so amazingly talented and one of the sweetest and funniest people out there. He is currently one of Broadway's biggest superheroes and makes thousands of people laugh as the standby for Elder Price in the Book of Mormon on Broadway. I am so beyond excited to welcome the incredible Jack Baugh to The Inspiration Show. Thank you so much, Jack, for joining me. I have so much love and admiration for you, and I'm so excited and honored to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So you really do it all, from sports to stand-up comedy to earning the rank of Eagle Scout. So before we dive into all things theater, I'd love to rewind a little bit and talk about some of the incredible things you've done along the way, starting with sports. So you are a three-time All-American high school quarterback.
Yeah.
That's insane. So what was your experience like with football? And do you see any connection between the way you approach football and the way you approach performing?
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of like football and baseball in high school and middle school and stuff like that. And I was a big sports guy, especially in Texas. That's like the main thing. Um, but I kind of realized quickly in high school when I was about like 16, 17, I was like, my favorite part of sports is whenever I get to go out there and be the lead, the quarterback, and and play in front of everybody and have the fans cheer and everything. And so I was like, you know what, I think I may just like performing. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like the approach to it, I would say sports kind of helped me get the discipline of it and be a little more coachable. I feel like as an actor, like I'm very receptive to like any notes that a director gives me, and I always want to hear everyone's opinions on it so that I can give the best performance possible. And I think honestly that comes just from a sports background.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I think it's so awesome that you do both because I mean, as a theater person, I think I'm credible enough to say this, but like a
Yeah.
lot of us are like it's either sports or theater and like very
Yeah.
few of us do both. So
Yeah.
I think and like when I first heard about like the Broadway softball league, I was like theater people do
Oh man.
sports like we don't coincide. Like that doesn't happen. So like to hear the stories of like people that do theater and sports and have dabbled in both, you're like a real life Finn Hudson. It's awesome.
No, we have a blast in the Broadway Softball League. We like just finished up the season and it was so fun. We had a blast.
What was it this year? It was bowling, right? Or am I going crazy?
Or no, we had well, bowling starts in the fall, which
Right.
I'll probably be a part of as well. But we had our Book of Mormon softball team as well. We were the
Oh,
frogs. But yeah, it was so fun. It was a blast just getting the cast out there, and we all just had a blast. And one of our costume personnel, she like designed her own like cheerleading uniform, and
heck
she
yeah.
had pom poms for everybody, or she called them spirit shakers, and we had a blast. We did that like every Thursday morning, but
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah.
Uh, so you were also an Eagle Scout. So what was your journey like, and what motivated you to stick with scouting all the way to Eagle rank? Because so many people don't finish or make it to that ranking. So what was that like?
Yeah, honestly, we can thank my mom for that one, and I'm sure she'll probably watch this and be like, "Yeah, it was 100% me," because for for a while there I was just like, I don't understand the point of this. And when I finally reached the rank of Eagle Scout, I was like, oh, now I understand everything. I really just thought I'm not a big camper. I don't like being outside. I feel like we invented AC for a reason.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not a fan of this, but like going back, it was more so like organizational skills that I have now that I learned from scouting. And also I was like the senior patrol leader, like the president of the scouts for like 2 to 3 years. And I think that taught me a lot about leadership. And I think especially like throughout my acting career, like I've played a lot of lead roles, and you have a responsibility as a lead to like bring the energy and work harder and all of that stuff. And I think that all came from there, and also the sports as well, just having that leadership background from there. I was like, you know what, this was worth it. For some reason my mom was right, but for some
Yeah.
things, not most things, but some things.
Sometimes, just they're right sometimes. You
Just
got to
sometimes.
give them credit where credit is due. But yeah, no, I love that. Like I like to go through life with like the toolbox analogy, like everything you go through, you gain a different tool. And it's so
Yeah,
awesome to see
100%.
like all these things you've gathered and now you can bring it to your theater career and you use it on stage and it shines through when you perform. It's incredible.
Right.
Oh, so while pursuing your degree in theater, you did stand-up comedy for 3 years. So how did that come about? And now that you've been in like numerous comedy musicals, what skills from stand-up have you carried over into your performances on stage?
Yeah, stand up was wild. I just I did it because me and my dad we loved watching stand up, and of course me and him were always like, well, we're funny enough to do that. And so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot. And I honestly had a blast doing it. I performed at like different comedy clubs around the city, like Broadway Comedy Club, Comedy Cellar, different places like that. But um I think the main thing is I'm no longer nervous on stage
Mm,
because I feel like I always tell people that like the difference between stand-up comedy and like what we do is that in stand-up comedy, if like the audience isn't feeling you, and they're not laughing, then like they don't think that you're funny and they don't like you. But like with this, it's like, oh, you didn't like my interpretation of Elder Price. Like, okay, like that's all right. Like I can improve in that and come see me later. But with stand up, it's like, oh, you just don't like me. And so stand up was way more terrifying because you're just alone up there. And the craziest story I had was I was doing this weird gig at like this New York Renaissance Festival, and they were like, "We're gonna give you 15 minutes," and it was just going poorly. Like 3 minutes in, like no one wanted to hear stand-up comedy; they just wanted to have a good time. And this lady, this like old lady, she threw her turkey leg at me, and I like dodged it, and I was like, all right. And it was at that point that I was like, you know what? Maybe I think I'm just gonna stick with musical theater for a while. But I always tell people I'm like, nothing that could happen on that Broadway stage will be worse than that moment right there. So I think it just kind of gave me the confidence and the and you can relax because there's other people on the stage with you, and it's not just like a one man like show like stand up is. Like you're working as a team, and that's also why I find musicals so comfortable is because I grew up playing team sports constantly, and so it's a team atmosphere. Everybody's trying to help everybody else. If I mess up something on stage, my counterpart knows I messed up and can help me out a little bit and vice versa. And so I think stand up kind of taught me that like I think I'm gonna stick with this. It's very nice.
I think stand-up taught you like no more turkey legs. No
Yeah,
one will
exactly.
throw a
No
turkey
more
leg at
turkey
you from
legs
Broadway.
because like the ushers are gonna take that away immediately. Like no turkey legs.
Insane. But I also love that pipeline for you because, like, I will arguably say, and I don't even think I have to argue this, like, Book of Mormon is the funniest musical ever written. So
Oh yeah,
I
that's our
love
song.
that pipeline for you from stand-up
Yeah.
comedy to the funniest musical ever written. So that's great. Oh, that's
Yeah, no, it's super nice. And also just like audience reaction as well. Like with Book of Mormon, you know, there's a lot of moments where like something is so funny, especially Cody as Elder Cunningham. He does something that's super funny and the audience is still like laughing. So it's like, okay, let's give him a sec to laugh before we move on to the next thing. And I think stand up also kind of taught me how to judge like where the crowd is and like when to say my line during Hasadiga Ibawai and when to let the audience kind of process what's happening.
I love that song.
Oh, me too. It's the
And
best.
it's my favorite full circle that we have to talk about is you doing the show with Cody. Like, I honestly think that is one of my
Oh,
favorite full circle theater moments, like, ever.
yeah. Yeah, it
Oh,
was so crazy. He hates that story because because it shows how old he is. Don't show him this. But I was actually just talking to him downstairs. But yeah, it was just so crazy because I saw Book of Mormon for the first time. It was my second musical I'd ever seen. I saw Wicked on tour, and then I saw Book of Mormon on tour, and I begged my mom to take me, and she had no idea what it was about. And we grew up hardcore Catholic.
Oh,
And she
no.
had no idea what it was about. I had the soundtrack memorized, and I was like, I just need you to take me and trust me. And she loved it, and we had a blast. And I remember seeing like Elder Price, that role, and I was like, oh my God, if I could someday do that, that would be awesome. And then when I graduated from AMDA in 2022, my parents came to my graduation, and I was like, you guys have to take me to a Broadway show. And my dad famously is not a fan of musicals. He's not he's a music guy. Like he loves guitar, he loves music, but he's just not a musical guy because he's like, why are we singing? Just say it. Just say it. But so I was like, okay, well, the one musical that you will like is Book of Mormon. And so we went to go see Book of Mormon, and ironically, Kevin and Cody were Price and Cunningham that night. And so then almost, I mean, it was almost exactly like 3 years later, they got to come see me and Cody, and they sat in the exact same seats because they wanted it to be a full circle moment. But yeah, it was insane, and I sobbed in front of what, 750 people.
Yeah. Oh, that's
But
incredible. It's
yeah,
one
it
of
was
my
great.
favorite full circle stories because not only was Cody like your first impression of that show, but he
Yeah.
was also your first Cunningham when you made your debut.
Yep.
And so like
Yeah.
it's insane that you saw him do it when you were younger and now you're doing the thing together. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I was very appreciative because I got 3 nights for my debut. I did Tuesday through Thursday, and I was very appreciative because I was a deer in headlights that first night. And so Cody didn't improv or mess with me or anything. But then the next night he was like, "All right, I'm gonna mess with you tonight." And I was like, "Okay, all right. All right, sounds good."
Oh
But
no.
he's such a kind person, and we just the way that after the show, before we did our final bow, he like made me go out and bow by myself again, and I was so embarrassed. I started crying in front of so many people. I was like, "Oh man, I was holding it together." But yeah, it's just so full circle to be with. I mean, half the people in this cast I saw in 2022, and so it was like, wow. I mean, I saw like Pinto, Jay Casey, all of them. It was just incredible.
Oh, it's incredible. I can't
Yeah,
imagine what that must feel like for you.
yeah.
Oh, it's the best. So, growing up in Houston, Texas, you participated in so many incredible things. So, how did theater come into your life, and when did you discover that you had a passion for singing in theater?
Yeah, I mean, I the first decision I remember making for theater, I actually blame my middle school choir teacher for this because in like 5th grade at my school, we had to pick an elective, and we could pick like choir, band, or I think it was Spanish. And I decided I was going to take Spanish because I was like, I want to learn a second language. And my choir teacher, who I was like friends with at the time, she was like, "Yeah, I actually talked to the Spanish teacher and there's no more spots left for you," which turned out to be a lie because she wanted me to take choir because she thought I was like a great singer. And so I ended up doing choir and musicals, and I did like Seussical Junior, and I sang every Horton song up the octave because my voice hadn't dropped, and uh, and so I loved it from there. And then through high school, I was still mainly on the baseball train. I was like, I really want to play baseball, but I'll do like choir here and there, some musicals, and then I during one of the baseball practices, I got hit in the face with a baseball, and it like fractured my cheekbone. And the my dad was with me, and the doctor was like, "Well, he can't play baseball the rest of the season." My dad was like, "Can he sing?" And he was like, "Yeah." And so then I was like, "All right, decision made. I'm not playing sports anymore. I just want to do musicals." And so I started doing musicals. That was like, I think, into my junior year of high school. So I was a super late bloomer in the theater world. I didn't know anything, and I was applying to I wanted to go to musical theater school, and I only knew like 3 schools, so I applied to Cincinnati Conservatory, NYU, and Michigan. and I didn't get into any of them. And my dad made me go to an AMDA audition because they were just in Houston. Um, and I got in there, and I was like, "All right, cool. That's where I'm going."
That's incredible, and I love how it all comes back to Seussical.
Always,
It always
always,
comes back to Seussical, but it never comes
every
back to
time.
singing Horton up the octave, so I'm gonna applaud you for that one.
My dad made fun of me so hard for that. He was like, "You can't hit any of these notes." It's like, "No, man.
He's a hard role. He's a very
Yeah, man.
hard role.
It's
He may
hard.
be
It's
elegant,
hard.
but he's a hard role.
It's a bass roll. I can't do it."
Oh, good times. Thank you, Horton. Good times. So, what would you say really inspired you to become a performer, and who's been an inspiration of yours throughout your career?
Oh man, so many people. Um, I, I mean, it's classic, but I was a big Jeremy Jordan guy.
As you should
Still
be.
am. Still
Me
am.
too.
Uh, and I honestly, it was me and my friends watching a lot of the Jimmy Awards.
Yeah.
Like I was in high school when Andrew Barth Feldman won and Renee Rapp won, and I was like, I need to do that. I need to do that. And I was just like being in New York, and we went on a choir tour to New York my junior year, and I was like, oh my God, I have to live here. My dad was like, really? It smells like pee everywhere. And I was like, I don't care. It's amazing.
My
It's so
parents
great.
say the same thing. I relate to
Yeah.
that so much.
Yeah.
It's home. It's home.
Yeah, it's home, man. Um, but yeah, I would say like Jeremy Jordan, um, Jonathan Groff, just the classic. I just love the classic tenor sound. And I'm also a big opera guy, and so I like Lawrence Brownlee. Just all the classic tenors who can hit high notes and make it seem easy. I
Oh yeah.
love them.
I
Love
need
it.
to see you in Newsies. I'm putting it out there. You'd be such a good
Oh
Jeremy.
man, please. I'd
You
love
would
it.
be such a good Jack Kelly. Oh my God.
I would love it.
Oh, that would
Bring
be
it
so good.
back.
Please revive Newsies. I need a Newsies
Please,
revival.
please.
Oh. So, can you take us back to the first time you experienced theater and how you were feeling at the time?
Yeah, the first time I experienced theater honestly was Wicked. Um, and I just went for, I think it was Mother's Day, and my mom like made me go see this musical because she loved The Wizard of Oz. And she was like, I've heard great things about this musical. It was like, I think it was like 2016 or something. And I was like, okay, but it's been around at that point for like what, 15 years. Um, but my mom took me to go see it, and I just remember we were in like great orchestra center seats, and I was just like, wow, if I don't like perform on a stage, I think I might die. Um, and it was just like that moment, I was just hooked from then on out. Then I saw Book of Mormon, Lion King, Anastasia. I was like, man, I have to be in all of these shows.
Yeah.
But it was I think, and what my mom always says is she was like, most people when they go, they just see it and they're like, wow, that was a great show, and they become obsessed with the show. But I would always talk about like, no, I'm not just obsessed with the show, like I want to be in it. Like I really want to be in the show so bad. But I think Wicked was probably my first revelation, I would say.
I always tell people when they're like, "What musical do I see first?" I'm like, "Wicked." I'm like,
Go see
"Wicked
Wicked.
introduction into musical theater."
Go see Wicked.
There's nothing like it. It's
Mm-mm.
incredible, and, like, I relate to that so much, like, seeing so many incredible shows, and I'm like, "I'd be great in this role," or, like, "This role would be so
Yep.
much fun to play," like, it's so
Yeah.
awesome. I always say if you saw a musical and you didn't leave singing one of the songs, you didn't see it, but for
Exactly.
me, it's finding a part that I'd fit, and I think
Yep.
you and I
I
can
wanna
do
be
that.
that role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you moved from Texas to New York City to attend AMDA to study musical theater. So what was your experience like moving to New York City to chase your dreams? And how has your time at AMDA influenced your development as a performer and prepared you for a career in theater?
Yeah, so my AMDA journey was kinda weird because I was a COVID senior, COVID high school senior. So my senior year was 2020, um, which everyone's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," but honestly worked out for me because at that point I already knew I was doing theater, so I was like, "So why do I need this calculus class?" But
Preach,
yeah,
preach.
I was just like, I'm done." But I started AMDA online, and I started at AMDA LA. um MDLA online. I did my first 2 semesters in Texas, like in my living room, like doing ballet in the living room while my dog is trying to get me to pet him, and I'm like, "Would you leave me alone?" Um, but that was crazy, but um I really enjoyed it honestly because I think it, at least what my parents say, is it offered them a lens to see what theater school was, because for the longest time they were like, "You want to, like, what is theater school, like, what is that?" And I think it kind of offered them a lens to see, like, "Oh, this is what they do," and they were seeing me like steadily improve. um and then the New York campus opened up first, so I was like, "You know what, I'll just go to New York, I'll just go to the New York campus." And I went to AMDA in person, and honestly, AMDA kind of changed my life, because the teachers there are actively in the industry. And I feel like with a lot of other schools, it's like you have the head of theater who's been there for 65 years. And it's like, well, what does he know about Broadway? Like, uh, you don't know anything about about what the landscape is now, especially in this COVID environment. And AMDA was one of the few schools that I heard that was like teaching you how to do a self-tape, teaching you how to audition, and they were just so focused on the craft of musical theaters, and like the acting. I had one acting teacher, Ray Verda, who ripped me to shreds. It was awesome. He was just really on me, and the expectation of AMDA is the teachers care if you care. And I think that there are some students there who, if the teacher says show up off book on Monday, and they don't show up off book, well, then the teacher's not going to work with you. And they're like, "Well, why do I pay so much?" And I'm like, "Well, you should have been off book." But I think that AMDA really kind of gave me a taste of the industry and how hard it is and how much discipline it takes. And so then when I graduated and it was time to go, I booked the Office of Musical Parody like a week after I graduated, and I felt like super prepared. And so I always say, like, if AMDA needs anything from me, they can have it because I owe everything to them.
Yeah. No, that's so awesome, and I relate to that so much, like, I'm also a theater major in school, so, like, when people are like, "Oh, this is your deadline, we gotta be off book, we're running XYZ today," and then people come and show up and they don't know it, I'm always like, "Theater is a team sport, not only are you letting yourself
Exactly.
down, but you're
You're
also
letting your
letting
team
your
partner down.
company down," so
Mhm.
it's always important for everyone to pull their weight, and I just think
Yeah.
that the collaboration is the core of theater, and
Yeah.
that quick turnaround for you a week after, that's insane.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy, but I mean, that's also the expectation, is like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's why AMDA prepared me, because Book of Mormon was, I got the job, and then they were like, "Have you seen the show?" And I was like, "Yeah, been obsessed with it for 10 years." So I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen the show." But they got me a ticket. I saw it again. Funny story about that actually is when I went to go see it after I booked the job, I hadn't cried or anything. I hadn't like felt emotion. I like when I booked it, I was in such disbelief. I was like, they must have sent this to the wrong person because there's no way they're offering it to me. And all the details following, I was like signing contracts and everything. And then finally I went to go see the show, and they gave me like a nice seat. Um and I was like, okay, I'm gonna bring my notebook so I can write some stuff down and like really pay attention to what Kevin's doing and everything. And then Kevin walked down and rang the doorbell for hello, and I started sobbing. And so everyone's like laughing around me, and I'm just like, like I, I felt like such a loser. I was like, oh my gosh, not me during crying during hello. Like, this is insane. But but yeah, so I saw the show and then I started rehearsals and we rehearsed for 10 days. I had my put in and then 3 days later I made my debut. And it was usually you do your put in and then you have like a month with the show, but
Yeah, I was
the
gonna say.
way, yeah, the way that it worked out was Kev was out for a week, um, that next week, and originally they weren't gonna put me on, but then they were like, "Do you want to just do it?" And I was like, "Honestly, let's just bite the bullet." And I made my debut on April Fool's Day, and everyone thought I was joking, and I was like, "No, seriously, like it's my Broadway debut. Like you guys got to come out." But yeah, it was, but again, it's what we talked about. Like that's what the industry is. It's a quick turnaround industry. And so because I worked so hard at AMDA and they taught me to work hard, by the time that hit, I showed up first day off book and it was easier for everybody. It was easier for the director because she didn't have to tell me what my lines were. And, it's just, it makes everyone's job easier. And at the end of the day, like, we're not doing open heart surgery. Like we're all having a good time. So let's make it a good time for everybody.
Yeah. No, I always say that the work doesn't begin until you're off book because when you have a script in your
100%.
face and your director's trying to direct
Oh,
you and you're
it's
trying to
the
connect with
worst.
your scene partner and you're just like, "Hey, what are my lines?" I'm like, "No, it doesn't work."
It's the worst.
But that experience for you seeing the show after you booked it, like that's your like it's real moment. And did the show feel any like different to you kind of seeing it after you booked it? Did you view it from like a different lens or a different perspective?
Yes, but it was also really funny because I hadn't met anybody yet. But I was in the fourth row. And one thing about Book of Mormon, if anyone in the audience is planning on seeing it, if you sit in the orchestra, we can see all of you. We can see all of your faces the entire time. And so I'm in the fourth row, and I didn't realize that, but every single cast member knew that I was there and exactly where I was sitting. And so they all watched me sobbing my eyes out and the entire show, specifically Cody, was doing every joke right at me. And so it was really funny because it made me feel included before I even like was a part of the company. But that was that was funny because I was like, wow, like not only am I about to work with these people, but they're also going to become some of my closest friends. But yeah, it's just it was it was super surreal because it wasn't like obviously I had a great time watching it, but it was also like, wow, like that's about to be me up there. And then sometimes I would see Kevin dance and I was like, I have to dance like that? Oh no. Oh no.
Oh,
But
that's hilarious.
it was
It's
a
such a
blast though.
funny show. Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So you've brought so many beloved stories to life in incredible regional theater productions like Grease, Elf, Mary Poppins, High School Musical, Footloose, Next Normal, and so many more. So which regional theater productions have been the most memorable for you? And could you share a few standout moments?
Man. Um, they're all so different in so many ways. Grease was my favorite. Grease was my favorite because I had a lot of my best friends today are from that specific contract. Um, but it was a blast of a contract. And it was the most challenging for me because I'm not a dancer at all. And so you get cast as Danny Zuko, who wins the dance competition, and you're like, oh, great. Um, but they worked with me super well, but it was also just it challenged me a lot. And I'm not really like naturally suave or anything, and so having to play that suave character was really hard. Um, but I think it was the most rewarding because of how far I had to work and how much I had to improve. Um, and also just every single cast member was super good. Don't tell them I said that because they'll make fun of me for it, but also most of them came to my debut for Book of Mormon and it was just so it was incredible, but Grease was great. Um, Elf was a fever dream. It was so fun. But it was like we would have a lot of school matinees
Yeah.
at like 9 or 10 a.m.
Yeah.
and having that much energy at 9 or 10 a.m. is just brutal.
Yeah, 'cause
But
Buddy Elf's the Energizer Bunny, like, you
yes, it
gotta
is
oh,
insane. But the funniest story I have about Elf is one of the student matinees. Um, I it's the part where he's with the mall Santa and he's like, "Well, you're not the real Santa." And before I could spit that line out, some little girl in the crowd goes, "That's the fake Santa!" And we all started cracking up because she was mad. She was really, really mad about it. And I was like, me too, girl. Like, I'm mad too. Oh man, that was probably one of my favorite memories.
I know,
But
doing theater for little kids is my favorite thing ever, like, I also
it's
did
the
a tour when
best.
I was younger, and it was a children's show, and, like, it was awesome just watching little kids discover theater and, like, their
Yeah.
reactions and the interactive parts of the show, it was amazing.
Yeah. And then after those elf student matinees, we would do meet and greets and I would do it in character.
Oh, you're an
And
icon.
oh my gosh, and like they would be excited for me, but then when Santa came out, oh man, they would lose their minds. It was so funny. It was honestly the same thing with Mary Poppins too. Um, like they would meet Bert and I'd meet them in character. Bert was crazy because I had to do a bunch of backflips in the air, which I'm
Yeah.
famously scared of heights. And so, yeah, so I was like, okay, like I have to tap dance on the ceiling. That's cool. And they go, no, we don't have a ceiling. You're gonna be flipping. And I was like, okay. And so to train me to like not be afraid of it, they were like, all right, we're gonna do some exercise. And I was like, okay. And they would put me in the harness and they would hang me upside down. And then they would slowly lift me up. And they were like, see, you're not gonna fall. And I was like, okay, but put me down now. But it was so terrifying. But then by opening night, I was like, this is awesome because I felt like Spider-Man. It was amazing. But yeah, I've so many amazing experiences. Every single show I've done has just been amazing.
And I need to geek out with you on Next to Normal a little bit because
Oh
you
yeah.
played Henry and I just finished my run as Natalie.
Did you really?
Yeah, I just played
Oh,
Natalie.
cool.
Like a dream within a dream
Oh
within
man.
a dream, that show. Like, what was that like for you? I just gotta geek out. I mean, I love this show.
Man. Oh, it's the best show and need I need them to bring it back.
I
Um
need the London
I
company
need
to transfer to Broadway.
I
Will
need Casey
shout it.
Levy to come right here.
I will shout it from the rooftops when
Yeah,
Ragtime's over and
yeah.
Jack Wolf is done as Orpheus. Let's go.
God, I hope so. But yeah, Next to Normal is the best, but it was honestly super easy for me because Henry is the one character in that show that just kind of has a good time. But
Yeah.
like he has his little like dramatic hey moments, but like, you know, my mom isn't going crazy. Like I'm just it was super fun and it was my first like serious show, like serious professional show because I did the Office Musical Parody and like I did High School Musical and like those are very like high energy shows. But then this one I kind of had to dial it back a little bit. Um, and it's just such a beautiful show. And I think the main lesson that I learned from my director Ben Liebert, who's amazing, but he was like, "You're doing too much." And I have been so used to like overacting in the office and like it's a Disney show, High School Musical, so you gotta like go crazy with it. And so I was treating Henry kind of the same way, and he was like, "This show is so beautiful, and the words are so beautiful that sometimes the best thing to do is just kind of stand there and sing." And I I take that with me to Book of Mormon, like, and I believe the words are so funny if you just say them. Like, you don't have to do anything. You just stand there and you truly believe what you're saying. And I think that was probably the biggest lesson I learned from Next to Normal, which is like the power of stillness.
Oh yeah, no, that definitely was something I learned a lot too. Like a note that I always get is like I put too much emotion in and like I
You
over emote.
do.
Because I
Yeah.
feel that if I don't over emote, I just feel like I'm not acting and it's just not
Yep.
getting across. And our
Yeah.
director was like, just let the relationships shine for themselves. And like you said, like let the words shine for themselves. And like doing
Yeah.
Hey 3 was my favorite part of the show. Like
Yeah.
that
Oh,
was,
me too.
oh, that was
Yeah.
my favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
Like I
I
remember
liked
just like
yeah,
sobbing by the end of it, being like, oh my gosh.
man. It's the best. But also like with shows like that and also shows like Mormon, like the script is so good
Yeah.
that you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like when you're doing High School Musical, it's like, okay, like
Thank you, Troy
when
Bolton.
you when you yell at your dad, maybe put a little something behind it so it's not as Disney-fied. But yeah, but like with shows like Mormon and Next to Normal and stuff like that, it's just like just say the words. Like it's just so beautifully written.
Oh, such incredible shows.
And also my Natalie is actually the young Allie on the Notebook tour right now. Chloe
Let's
Cheers.
go!
She just got that. She is incredible. And it was funny because when we did Next to Normal, I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be the youngest one in the cast. I'm actually 21." She was like, "I'm 19," and I was like, I mean, she has the most beautiful voice I've ever heard. Again, don't tell her I said that, but yeah, she's
Incredible.
incredible, and I'm so excited
I
to
got
get.
to do some work with the Broadway company of The
Oh,
Notebook.
really?
It's special, so I'm excited to see it out
Oh,
on tour. We're all
I
so hyped.
love the Notebook. Oh my God, go see Chloe.
Oh.
She's ridiculous.
You could also totally go for young Noah. Like that'd be such a good role for you.
I wish. I
Like
wish.
you've done it all. Like well, like, and that literally segues me perfectly because you've played such a wide range of characters. Like you've done Danny and Grease, Buddy and Elf, Bert and Mary Poppins. You did Troy High School Musical. You did Chuck and Footloose, which is like incredible. And
Man.
then Henry and Next to Normal. So, what's it like for you to step into so many different personalities, and how do you approach discovering what makes each character unique? Because you've been all over the board personality-wise.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy like the range of stuff, but I always tell people I feel like the each character you play, there's at least some part of you in it. Like I'm not saying there's an abusive boyfriend part in me for Chuck, but like there's like you bring like you find like what makes you angry. Like what's something that is aggravating you right now? Okay, put that into the story. And I feel like with like Elder Price, it's like, yeah, I'm not that annoying and that proper and stuff, but it's like, but there's a part of me that is kind of like that. Like in a movie theater, like don't talk. Like I'll go crazy. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna bring that energy into Hasadiga. And I think the important thing is like, yes, you form the character, but no character can be truly absent of some part of you. Like some part of you has to be in the character, or else it's not you doing the character. It's you doing an impression of the character, you know? And so that's always my philosophy. But the big thing I always do is the first thing is always how do they walk? Like the walk is so important to me. Um, but also I'm really bad at character work until I get the costume on. Like
That's so valid.
I can't do it, man. Like with Danny Zuko, my director couldn't like he just wasn't feeling my Danny, and I wasn't feeling my Danny either. And then like it was our first like dress rehearsal like 3 days before opening. I was feeling terrible about it. I was like it sounds fine, but like I'm not I'm not feeling like Danny. And then immediately I slick my hair back, throw on a leather jacket, and I was like, "Oh, like this. Oh, okay. All right, great." But yeah, I'm always how do they walk, how do they talk first. And then usually from there, I mean, I still use the AMDA character analysis they gave me that's like 12 pages. And when I was in college, I was like, I hate this. This sucks. But now I use it for every single role, if not more. But also a thing that I do a lot is I have a like a notebook. I don't think I have it on me, but for every character I carry a composition notebook around with me. Pretty much like everywhere I go. And I try to like journal as the character um for like 30 minutes a day or something, 20, 30 minutes, and just like journal as the character like for that day. Just how like when you start a day or you end a day, you're like, "Oh, these were the things I liked today. These are the things I hated." Like you just find little things, little quirks about your character. Like my elder price hates the way that Cunningham says the word Mormon. Like I just like, and so now like in my performance, like every time he says the word Mormon, it just makes me so mad. And like it's just like little stuff that you discover, and I think that's the fun of it. And I'm trying to take tips from Kevin too, because Kevin plays a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, and so he just creates characters all the time, and so he's very good at putting on these characters, and so I'm trying to get him to teach me how to play Dungeons and Dragons so that I can get better at it. But he's also got me hooked on Pokemon right now. But yeah, that's a little about Kev.
I love it. I think honestly that's my favorite part about being an actor is getting to dissect a character's psyche.
Totally.
It's my favorite part about like getting to step into their shoes while also bringing like a little bit of me with them too. That's what I love it so much.
Yeah.
So, out of all the roles you've stepped into, are there a few that particularly stand out to you for specific reasons?
Ooh. Well, Elder Price will always has always and will always hold a special place in my heart. Like, um, I've been singing those songs for years, and actually, my music director Justin embarrassed me when I first got the job because I sang the duet "You and Me, but Mostly Me" in high school, like during something, and I completely forgot that it was on YouTube. And I changed the
Oh,
words "You've done an awesome job, Kevin" to "You've done an awesome job, Jack Baugh." And he found that video before my final callback, and he was like, "That's when I knew you had the job because you did that." And I was like, "I can't believe that's there." And then I sang, I believe at AMDA, like my third semester as like my final demo song, and I wore a little white shirt with a black tie and everything. And so Elder Price has always just been down the pipeline for me. It was just a matter of when, I think. So that will always be special to me, but I think honestly the one that is most special to me, surprisingly, is Dwight in the Office Musical Parody, because you can ask anyone. I was and am obsessed with The Office. I saw it like 13 times. Like in high school, I'd watch it 24/7. And my parents were like, "Of course, the first musical you book is an off-Broadway parody of The Office." And so when I got hired there, they were like, "Okay, here's the episodes you need to watch." And I was like, "Oh no, sweetheart, I'm
I'm
good. Trust, I'm all right." But getting to getting to like live out that fantasy, because I was a swing first, so I did Jim and Creed and Toby and Dwight and all that stuff, and then I got promoted to just Dwight. Um, and I think that was just super special for me because I was there for like a year, and never once was I bored or anything. And I think it was also it was my first confirmation that this is what I was supposed to do, because it was my first professional job that I booked. And it was kind of a way of proving to myself and to, I mean, you tell your Texas family that you're going to New York to to do musical theater. They're like, "What?" Um, and so the fact that it was a job that I booked in New York was just super special and super like rewarding. And the fact that I'm only a block away from it now at Mormon is also really funny. So I guess I was just meant to be on 50th Street, but yeah.
Oh yeah, let's
But
go.
yeah, I would say Dwight, Elder Price, and then if I had to pick one more, probably Buddy the Elf.
Yeah,
I loved being Buddy the Elf.
yeah.
I I I loved it so much because also I loved my director. Um and it was also it was great for the community because I did it in Jackson, Mississippi at a New Stage Theater, and for 30 years straight, I kid you not, 30 years straight, they did Christmas Carol every Christmas. Usually the same cast, usually the same director, same set, everything. And then this random year, they were like, we're going to do Elf the musical. And they like brought me in. And so, and the community was like so excited, but also skeptical.
Right.
But they were, the community loved it. We had to like extend it by like 2 weeks, add shows, because we were just like selling out. Because Elf is one of those shows and one of those movies that like if you're an adult, you have a good time, and if you're a kid, you have a even better time. And so it's like not a show that's like just for the kids. It's a show for quite literally everyone. And they got this giant cardboard cutout of me as Buddy, and it was
Stop.
so funny. And my mom, that was probably the moment that my mom was like, you know what? Maybe this is what you're meant to do. Because when she came to see it, she has a horrible habit of, and again, if she sees this, I'm sorry, Mom, I'm airing out your business. But she has a horrible habit of, she'll come to see me in a show, and then at intermission, she'll walk around to everyone's conversation and listen in. And if they mention me or the character I'm playing, she's like, "Yeah, well, that's my son. So he's actually from Texas," and then tells them my entire story. And you should have seen her here. She
Proud
was
theater mom.
apparently, I mean, she was going around to everybody. "Yeah, well, that's my kid." So I was
As
like,
she should.
"Oh." But yeah, I would say
Oh.
those three for sure.
Oh, that's the best. So we touched on it a little bit. So
Mhm.
after graduating from AMDA, you jumped into playing Dwight in the Office Parody Musical Off-Broadway. So what was it like getting to bring such an iconic TV show to the stage? And how did you go about reimagining Dwight for theater? And then like you also mentioned you were a swing. So what was it like getting to see all these perspectives of these different roles and kind of how did that change your take on the show?
Well, first of all, it was brutal because the people who come to see the Office musical parody are expecting to see the TV show. And so with most characters like for Elder Price, like I'm not doing an Andrew Reynolds impression, you know. I'm like I've got my own Elder Price, but with The Office, you have to do an impression of the character. And Dwight is so different from who I am, but I had to like study the smile that he does and like the way he walks, the way he grabs his belt a lot. Like you have to study those mannerisms, and you have to like transform. And like luckily Jim wasn't that hard because 90% of my personality is based off Jim. Just because I watch so much of The Office, but taking on those roles, like the audience really expects to see those people. um, and one of the night we actually had two people from the actual TV show there, Angela and Pam, they were there. Um, and it was it's very intimidating to like have to do an impression of these people for 2 hours. Um, but it was super rewarding when you do get it right, because you see those people after the show and they were like, "Man, like you were just like him." And you see that joy. And it's the same thing with Mormon, where you meet people at the stage door and they're like, "This is my first Broadway show," or "That was amazing," or I told my husband this was going to be terrible and apparently it was great." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." But yeah, it's just the joy you get from doing it is why you do it.
Yeah. Oh, it's incredible,
Yeah.
and getting to see people fall in love with the show in a whole new way as well, like, that must have been so incredible for you, especially, being
Yeah,
a huge fan of the show.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I actually had one of the Office super fans, Dash. He actually, when I went on this past week, he came to see me in Mormon, and I met him at the stage door, and he was like, "Hey man, I don't know if you remember me," but I was like, "Dude, Dash, what's going on, man?" Like, and he was like, "Yeah, I just saw The Office this afternoon, and I figured I'd come see you in Mormon." And
Aw.
it's it's stuff like that where you're like, man, like that's, and a lot of my Office cast came to see my debut as well, and it's just like, man, theater really is just the smallest
Yeah.
but biggest community, but everyone's just rooting on each other, and that's the best.
I know, it's the best community, and, like, it's my
Yeah.
favorite when you'll, like, post an Instagram story, you're, like, out with theater people, and people will respond and be like, "Oh my gosh, we were on this contract together,
Yeah, I know
like,
this,
you
I know
guys
this
knew each
person.
other."
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's the greatest, like, I'll get to sit down and chat with a whole bunch of people, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, I know you know this person, like, we know them
Yeah.
through this," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"It's such a small world, and it's just the best world to be in." I love theater people, best
Yeah.
people. So, you're currently making your Broadway debut in the Book of Mormon as the standby for Elder Price. So, we touched on it a bit, but before getting cast in the show, were you at all familiar with the story, and why'd you feel the need to be part of telling this story?
Yeah, so I was very familiar with it, but I when my manager was like, "Hey," because I was non-union at the time, and they were casting for Broadway, and so they were just looking for equity, and she was kind of like, "I think I could get you in. I think I could convince you to get you in." And I was a little skeptical at first because I was like, I don't know if like my first impression of them seeing me, I don't know if I want it to be now. I don't know if I'm ready like right now. Um, but honestly, she just kind of convinced me to go in, and she was like, I think you need to have more confidence in yourself. And then as soon as I went in and sang You and Me and also I Believe, I was like, no, like I think I am ready. Um, and so I was very familiar with the show before, but I hadn't touched that material since college, so like 3 years, because I never really thought it was a possibility. And so um, once you get through the first round and you get the first callback, then you're like, okay, wait, this is serious. Okay, awesome. Um, but yeah, so I think I love Elder Price so much because I'm a big South Park fan as well. Me and my dad are, and so hearing them talk about how Elder Price in the beginning was supposed to get killed off in the first scene. Like it was supposed to be like this guy coming out, and then he gets hit by a bus, and then it's Elder Cunningham who has to take over. And so the fact that he's just this punching bag, I find it so hilarious. And like me and our associate director Jen, she always talks about how the entire story of Elder Price is him like coming in like, all right, here we go, and then getting punched in the face. And then he brings himself back up, and then he gets punched in the face for like two and a half straight hours.
Mhm.
And it's just so fun to watch the audience react to that. Um, and it's just I just love it so much because I love comedy so much, just comedy in general, but I specifically love comedy where the actor or where the character just truly believes everything he's saying. And it's the same thing with Buddy, where it's like, no, I really do believe I am an actual elf, and there's no way I'm from here. And I just love that so much. It's makes it so funny.
The joy in these iconic characters are truly like nothing else in theater.
It's the best. It's
It's
contagious.
yes, yeah, 100%. So, what was your rehearsal process like for the show and your overall experience as you stepped into this iconic role and became part of the company?
Yeah, it was horrifying. I was terrified. I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. It was my first time like rehearsing in a nice New York studio. It was nice to go to Open Jar though, without it being an audition. And I was like, okay, this is nice. But yeah, it was super quick. I mean, it was just me, Jen, Graham, our dance captain, and an accompanist, and we just went through the show scene by scene, just worked through it. She would give me the blocking, she would give me some ideas, and then we would work through it. And then, I mean, we just worked, I think, Tuesday through Sunday, and then we worked the Tuesday, Wednesday after that, and then I had my put in on Thursday, and then I debuted that next Tuesday. It
That's
was
insane.
Yeah, it was wild. And I didn't act with another person until the put-in. And so Graham was like Cunningham, Mafala, Nabalungi. Like I would just like look at where the characters were supposed to be. And then during the put-in, I was like, oh, that's who you are. That's who you are. Um, but the funniest moment during the put-in was I had to say a line at McKinley, and I completely forgot who was McKinley because we also had like all of the understudies were Cunningham. And so my first time doing Elder Price and Elder Cunningham with Cody was my debut. And we had barely met. Like we said hi, and Cody famously like knocked on my dressing room door at half hour, and he was like, "Do you want a picture or something?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, man." And then we just did the show, and like I hadn't even met PJ yet, who plays Elder McKinley. Hadn't even met him. I had just seen him. Um, yeah, I didn't meet Kazaya. I hadn't met Jacques before the debut. It was just like all of the understudies. We did this put in, and then debut night is when I like met everyone because everybody else usually like they have like a week or a month or so at least. And so they get to be in the building and be around people. But my first day being backstage, I was on. And so it was like, it was pretty surreal. Like I would meet someone, I would like act with them in a scene, and then at intermission, I'd be like, I'm Jack, by the way. Like, nice to meet you.
That was
But
wonderful. So nice to meet
yeah,
you.
yeah, that was great. Really nice to meet you, by the way. But yeah, it was just it was really fast. It was really fast, but it's honestly one of those things where like I'm always a big talker about preparation because
Yeah.
I grew up with Kobe Bryant as one of my idols. You talk about idols. I loved Kobe Bryant, and he was always like someone once asked him like, "Are you ever nervous?" Like when you have to hit that game-winning shot or something, and he was like, "No, because I've practiced it so many times." And I think that's kind of how I was for my debut was obviously I was little butterflies in my stomach, but I was like, I've done this 80 times in the past week and a half, and like I ran through the show this morning. Like I know it. And I think that's kind of where I mean, you're just kind of thrust into this situation. I mean, it's looking back on it, it is kind of crazy that it was 10 days of rehearsal and then just like, all right, here you go. Like lead the show. But it was it was so fun. And of course, every single person in the cast, like they had my back 100%. Um, yeah,
And it's crazy because, like you said, like you're the lead, and Elder Price doesn't leave the stage very much.
man.
So it's
Uh,
like, here's 10 days of rehearsal. Have you Broadway debut?
I was sweating so bad. I still do. But they gave me a little handkerchief because they were like, you like clean yourself.
Yeah.
Because Kevin's a robot. He doesn't sweat. He's just perfect. He's a machine. But I'm like up there like like
Yeah.
dripping sweat.
Oh no, it's and the stage lights, they're
They
hot.
burn. They burn.
They burn. They burn.
Yep.
So, could you walk us through your journey with the Book of Mormon from your audition process to where you are now?
Yeah, so I mean, my first audition was in person, and we just sang, I think it was just a cut of You and Me, just the high part, and then the bedroom scene with Elder Cunningham. And then from there, I was like, okay, I'll probably never hear from them ever again. Um, and then we had a call back where I did I Believe, and then we did the Orlando monologue and also the other two things, classic Orlando monologue.
Classic Orlando monologue.
Um, and then the next round was a work session with Jen and Justin, our music director. And we we just worked for like 20 minutes. Jen was giving me notes and we were like doing different choices and stuff. And then I got the final call back and did the final callback at 10 in the morning. Um, and I thought I did horrible. I was literally like, well, there goes that job. I was like, I had a audition for the Gatsby South Korea production later that day. Um, Funny enough, I actually got that too. I got that and Book of Mormon on the same day. It was pretty funny.
Stop! That's
Um,
insane.
Pretty funny. But yeah, it was a wild ride. And then the next day, I think it was, or it was 2 days later on like that Saturday, I got an email from my manager and I didn't really know anything. Like, I don't know what these terms mean. And so they like sent an email to my manager being like, okay, he's been approved for the role. And she was like, congratulations. And I was like, what does approved mean? What does that mean? I was like, what? And she was like, you got it. And I was like, no. And so I told my dad and I told my mom, and they were like, oh my gosh. And I was like, no, but nothing, like until I sign a contract, it doesn't mean anything. So I just like went back to work as at Equinox, training to be a personal trainer. And I like told some of my friends, and they were like, seriously? And I was like, maybe, I don't know. And then I just refused to believe it. And then I got the contract that Tuesday. And I went into my boss's office and I was like, I quit.
I'm going
I
to
quit.
Broadway.
I'm out of here. He actually saw my debut too. He sat front row. He had never seen a musical before.
That's iconic.
Um, and apparently he showed up to work the day after he saw me in it, and it was his first musical ever, and he didn't realize that Book of Mormon's been around for 14 years. And so he went into work the next day and he was like, have you guys ever heard of the Book of Mormon? It's awesome. And everyone's like, yeah, like we've heard of it, man. Like, oh man. But yeah, then
That's
I just
amazing.
I got the contract that Tuesday. Then I saw the show that Saturday and then started rehearsals Tuesday. And the rest is history.
That's hashtag I
Yeah.
believe.
Oh man.
Like,
Seriously.
damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh. So, Elder Price is a beloved and iconic character. What was your process like for putting your own stamp on him while still being true to the character himself?
Yeah, I think the hardest part was it's really easy to just do just do what Kevin does because Kev's amazing. Um, but Jen really encouraged me to do my own thing, and I think it was smart that during the rehearsal process she wouldn't let me watch the show again. Um, she wouldn't let me because I we had rehearsals from like 10 to 6 every day. And I was like, okay, can I go see the show at 7? And she was like, no. And I was like, why? Why would you do that? And looking back on it, I'm like, well, it's so I could form my own thing. All I have is the script and the blocking that she has, and I have the notes. But I saw Kev one time, and so it kind of prevented me from copying him. Um, and I think that was really important to establish that from the beginning. And I think there's a lot of things that I do because again, you got to bring yourself to the character. And I think there's a lot of things that I do as Jack that I brought into Elder Price. And but I think overall, like credit to Jen for that, for not letting me see the show again. And she was like, just trust me. Just here's the choreo, here's this. Because also there are certain Price moments that um we make it our own. Like at the Donny Osmond part of All American, Kevin does his little dance break to the left, but I do mine to the right. Um, and it's just because Graham, our dance captain, was like, well, what seems more natural? And I'm like, well, what does Kevin do? And he's like, well, I'm not going to tell you that. What is natural for you? And so we kind of based a lot of All American off of what feels good to me, because also Kev is a way better dancer than me, and so he was like, let's figure out what your movements are and what's funny with you. um but yeah, I thought it was great not to see it again and just to form my own kind of thing. And also, if I make the three people in the room laugh, then I'm like, okay, that joke worked. So that when I get in front of the audience, it's like, whoa, they're laughing at everything. Like, this is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the hard part of theater, making those jokes land. I
Yeah.
will say, it's not as easy as it looks.
No.
So, can you walk us through what your Broadway debut day looked like from the moment you woke up to stepping on that stage? What was going through your mind?
Yeah. Well, I woke up and I immediately convinced myself that I was sick. Um, as we all do.
As we all
I
do.
immediately I was like, okay, so apparently I can't sing anymore. Like I literally rolled out of bed and I tried to do a siren and I cracked and I was like, it's over. I suck.
Oh, no.
I suck. It's terrible. Um, but obviously it was fine. So I like to go to the gym in the morning, do a little bit of cardio and really stretch. Um, and then to be so honest, I was so freaked out that I just played video games for like 3 hours.
You're a
And
legend.
while I was playing video games, I like said the show. I had like a recording of the show and I went on GarageBand and I cut out all of the Elder Price lines so it was just blank space.
That's genius.
Uh, I do that all the time.
I
I
will
just
be
like
seeing that.
I
That's
just
genius.
please do. I just recorded the show, put it on GarageBand, and so every time Kev like would say a line, I would just cut it out so that I could say it. Um, and so I just did that while I was playing a video game, and then I went to the gym again to lift a little bit, and then I met up with my parents at the hotel, just to like say hi and make sure they had tickets and everything. And then I showed up at the theater at 4 o'clock,
Oh,
and
that's so me. That is so
yeah, I just
you have
couldn't. I had no. I have one now, but I had no pre-show ritual. I didn't know what my warm-up was. Like, I just like and I hadn't done a show since Mary Poppins, which was in like November, and now it's April. Like it's been like 6 months since I'd done a show, and so I was just like, I'm just gonna get here early, and so I was just there early, stretched a little bit, and then I proceeded to run through all of the dance numbers on the stage until Martha, our stage manager, was like, "Dude, you can't be on the stage. Like we need to work on here," and I was like, "Okay, all right." Um, and then I got into costume by like 6 o'clock, and I just kind of sat there for an hour, like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. It's over for me. Um, but yeah, that was pretty much it. And now my show day ritual is actually pretty similar. Like the more I can relax during the day
yeah.
and just kind of do me. And I learned that from Kevin. Kevin's very good about just doing his thing, you know? And now, like, when I get to the theater, I usually get there like an hour before the show and I have my whole hour ritual. But um, the most important thing is sleep. So, those 3 days that I went on, I got like 9 to 10 hours of sleep and felt good. But yeah, video games and the gym, I guess that was pretty much what I did.
Let's go. Oh. So, standbys are truly the backbone of Broadway, ready to step in at a moment's notice. What has your experience been like being a standby, and what have you learned about yourself and the show from being a standby?
Man, it's the best job and it's the worst job. Um, it's the best because the show's going on right now and I'm being paid to be here and just sit here. Um, but it's also the worst because you I just did about I think it was 6 shows
Yeah,
like
you
2 weeks
did.
ago. Yeah, 6 shows like two
Yeah.
weeks ago. But before that, I hadn't been on in 2.5 months. And so I was just like, and we have a rehearsal like once a month just to run through it. Um, but I was so nervous that I was going to be rusty, but it was fine. But it's kind of hard because you get anxious because you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna forget the show. I'm gonna forget the show. Um, but it's also when you step in. you have to really be on your P's and Q's because especially when I don't think I've ever used that phrase before. So consider yourself lucky I just used
I'm
P's and
so
Q's for the
lucky.
first time.
I'm so lucky.
There it is. Gonna write that one down. That and golly. People make fun of me because I say golly a lot. But it's a Southern thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's just you have to when it is your time to go on, people expect you to just be great. Like there shouldn't be any rust or anything. And that's the magic of swings and standbys. I will say in this show, I'm one of the lucky ones because I just worry about Elder Price.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people, I mean, the Mormon boy swings, they cover everything. And the Ugandan women swings, they cover everything. And I'm just like, I just have to worry about one thing. And so it's it's very great, but again, it's just that thing of like there was one time in between shows where I was at the gym and I got a text at 5:45 and it was like, "You're on and you're on. Can we do a lift call in 20 minutes? Can you be here?" And I was like, "Great." And so you just have to be ready to go at all times. But honestly, it's just super rewarding because, the more you get to know these people, the more you would do anything for them. So literally at a moment's notice, I'm like, great, cool.
Yeah.
But
He's a
yeah,
superhero.
yeah, that's that's
Literally.
it.
Oh. So, do you have a favorite scene, song, and moment in the show that you look forward to performing?
Man,
I know it's a tough one. I'm sorry.
yeah. No, it's honestly my favorite part of the show, which is funny because I don't even say anything, but it's when I come out in the hospital gown and the Book of Mormon's been shoved up my ass. Um, because the audience reaction to that, they have three phases, right? So like the first reaction is that Elder Price? Like what's he doing up there? And then it's like, oh, why is he in the hospital? And then it's, oh, there's something up his, oh, that's the Book of oh, the general shut. So you watch them like go through it, and it's so funny to watch because they're just like, and then they start cackling, and it is the best. But I also love the coffee scene with Elder Cunningham.
Yep.
Um,
Or he's drunk on.
because yeah, because last time me and Cody did it, we got real close, and he was like, I almost kissed you there, and I was like, I know, we were like this, but it's just so funny and so ridiculous. Yeah, I would say probably those two moments are my
There
favorite.
is nothing as incredible and ridiculous and hilarious as this show.
It's the best.
Like, I can't imagine what it's like, being up there and just hearing this laughter. And, like, even though if you've seen the show 1,000 times or it's your first time, it's as
Yeah,
equally funny every single time.
100%.
And that right there is the power of theater. Thank you, Book of.
Absolutely.
Oh. So, what has been your favorite part and most challenging part about being in the show and portraying Elder Price and getting to tell this beloved and iconic story on Broadway?
I think my favorite part is just the show in general. I'm just so in love with the show that like it's just a pleasure to do it every single night, every single chance I get to do it. And even when I'm not on, it's I go down and watch it a lot just because it's just a great show. Um, but yeah, I would say honestly that's the best part about it is just telling this story and of course like every single stage door, it's just like you meet the people who were just laughing at you, and it's like it's amazing to see that connection and help the audience escape for 2.5 hours. But yeah,
The greatest. So, what has been your highlight moment in the Book of Mormon so far?
my highlight moment, um, honestly, I'd probably say my debut. I would say like right now it's just that debut, but also well, a big highlight of mine was when I just recently went on a couple weeks ago. My high school theater teacher was able to, he flew up, um, and they saw the show, and we had this running joke in high school where I was like, "Well, when I book Broadway, I'm gonna buy you a ticket in the balcony," and he's like, "No, you better put me orchestra center," and we used to joke about that all the time. And so then he was like, I'm gonna come up and I better be an orchestra center. And so I got him a ticket for orchestra center, and it's just like that full circle moment, as always.
That's the greatest gift a theater kid can give their theater teacher. There's nothing
Yeah,
like a Broadway debut.
it's the best.
So, alongside from being a star on stage, you've also been a star on screen and have done lots of TV and film projects. So, how does your preparation for a TV and film role differ from preparing for the stage, and what adjustments do you find the most challenging?
I would say for TV and film, it's the most important to be off book because there's so many different, and you have to be so open to different choices. Whereas theater, it's usually like, here's the delivery of this, and it's worked for 30 years. Um, and like, let's express it differently. But the film is like, okay, for this close up, I need you to like talk quieter, or I need you to do this, I need you to do that. And so many different things are thrown at you, and it's all thrown at you for the first time. So, like in theater, it's very much like, okay, I've rehearsed with this set piece. We've done this show 8 times. Now let's open. But with film, it's like, okay, here's where the sync is. You know, when you grab the brush on this specific line, the brush is going to be over here. And like, and then they're like, go. And so you maybe rehearse like once, maybe if you're lucky. Um, and you have to be more in the moment. Whereas theater, I think you get a half hour to prep yourself. And I can listen to my Elder Price playlist and like get in the zone a little bit. But with TV and film, it's like, okay, we need you to get into makeup and sit down for 3 hours while we set up the shot, and then go do it. Go cry. And so you just have to be overly prepared. In theater, you have to be overly prepared as well, but you overly prepare together. But 90% of the time with film, especially where I'm at right now, where I'll like guest star, do this or whatever, I've never met these people before, and now we're just gonna kind of do it. Um, and I think that's probably the biggest difference, but I love both so much. TV and film is also super fun because there's not that pressure of, oh my God, I just messed up my line. I have to keep going. That it's like, I messed up my line. Let's do it again. Um, and so it's definitely more relaxing. But you have to come in more prepared.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. So,
Yeah.
is there a particular project or moment that you feel truly defined you as an artist?
Hmm. I think Greece. Greece was probably the moment that I was like, I think I'm actually getting somewhere, because it was my first, I'd done regional theater before. Like I had done Elf previously, but then I was auditioning for like 6 months. I hadn't booked anything, and then I finally booked Grease, and it was my first time. I had worked with talented actors in the past, but it was my first time working with an entire cast from New York. And like we were all flown in, ensemble, everything. Like we all came to this theater. Whereas at other regional theaters, it's like the five leads are flown in from New York, and then the rest are locals. And so this was my first time where I felt like I was truly like I don't even mean to be demeaning, but I felt like I was like the worst in the room. And which is awesome. And like that's always a great feeling because you know you're gonna improve. Like when I first showed up to Mormon, I was like, oh wow, I'm the worst one here. Like this is great because I'm gonna learn so many things from different people. But I think that's why I learned so much from Greece, was because I was surrounded by all of these people who were so talented and so good at what they did and had so much experience. And so I think that was the moment that I really shifted as an actor.
I love that mindset. And Danny Zuko is such a beast of a role, but like
Oh
so
man,
much fun. I can't imagine.
crazy,
Oh.
crazy.
So, looking back on everything you have achieved in this industry, what advice would you give your younger self entering the industry?
Um, my advice would be chill out. Like I had this whole, and like in hindsight, like yeah, I achieved it, but like when I was 18, I was like, okay, here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna graduate college when I'm 21, and I'm going to book a national tour when I'm 23, and I'm going to book Broadway by the time I'm 25, and then I'm going to originate this. And I had this whole map, and then I was like really trying to follow it, and I was really kicking myself and all of that stuff. And I started to compare myself to other actors. And I was like, well, this person's this age and they're here. Why am I not there? What am I doing wrong? And then I like talked to one of my friends about that. And he was just like, again, like comparison is the thief of joy. And it's like so true because the more you compare yourself to other people, the worse it gets. When in reality, there are so many roles for so many people. And like, yeah, this person is my type or whatever, but and they booked it over me or whatever, but there's something else waiting for me. Like there truly is enough room for all of us, and you never get anywhere by competing against these other people. Like naturally it's a competitive industry, but that doesn't mean that you have to make it a competition. And I think I was like gatekeeping some stuff because I was like, well, I like my voice teacher and I don't want anyone else to have my voice teacher. And like people would ask me, and now I'm like, any resource I have is now yours because we should all, there's room for everyone. And so I think like in general, just like chill out and just do you. Focus on improving yourself and lifting up other people, and naturally you'll get where you want to be. And I think as soon as I stopped comparing, because I was like really deep in the comparison train while I was an elf. Like one of my friends had booked the Hadestown tour, and I was like, well, I suck. I was like, clearly I suck. But it was once I stopped viewing that, I started booking more and I started finding more joy in theater, and I made more friends and all of this stuff. And I think that was a huge roadblock that I had to overcome, which was my own mind. But yeah, like everyone has like this set plan that they want to do, but at the end of the day, like your journey is your journey. And I know it's super cliche, but like the more you focus on you and uplifting other people, then if those people succeed before you because you helped uplift them, they're going to help uplift you, you know? And so that's what I would say. Chill out.
No, I
Don't
love that.
have to chill out.
I love that so, so much. Jack, thank you so much for joining me on the
Yeah,
Inspiration. I'm in constant awe of you and your incredible
thank you.
talent, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to get to look up to you and watch you shine. Thanks for inspiring
Of
me.
course. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.